You're listening to Straight Outta Motherhood Mom Humour Podcast, featured weekly on their local radio show, The Motherhood Radio, KAKU 88.5 FM, the voice of Maui, broadcasting out of the south end of Maui, Hawaii. Here's your hosts, Ali B and Sarah Rodriguez.
We're broadcasting Straight Outta Motherhood.
That's right, podcast number 4.
Number 4.
We're pretty excited.
We really are. We have a great topic for you guys today.
What is it going to be? It's something that leads into the last topic that we talked about, though.
It definitely does. It's the first couple weeks.
The first couple weeks after birth. Oh, my God. The worst weeks of your life.
Post-birth, seriously.
The worst and the best.
Oh, God.
It's like being in an abusive relationship.
Seriously, it is.
There's gosh. You feel really happy and euphoric some days, and then you hate the person, and you're like, I think this was a bad idea. And then you're like, you know what? I can't leave them. I love them.
Oh, my God. It's so true, too. It's such a mind.
It does. It is, really, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so many things that, the books don't tell us about pregnancy and afterbirth.
Mm-hmm.
And, you think, okay, well, now I have this baby. I did all this stuff. I'm going to go home and it's going to be, amazing. But you're met with, in-laws and, relatives of the kazoo.
Right? You're already stressed out, and then you're on show for everybody.
Right?
Seriously.
Everyone wants to know, are you breastfeeding your bottle? Right. How was your labor?
Mm-hmm.
Not something you want to talk about yet.
No, God, labor. Let's talk about labor.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. Oh, let's talk about the aftermath.
Yeah, right. Labor. The aftermath of labor.
So I did it natural. Well, I guess not natural way because I took drugs, but I guess the old-fashioned way, just out of the old hoo-ha. And she did a C-section, so taking care of yourself afterwards is much different.
Yeah.
So what was how did you have to take care of yourself?
Well, I had staples in my stomach the first few days, literal staples that you could see. And then the first time they handed me the pliers and had me remove them myself.
No.
Yeah.
That
I didn't
sounds terrifying.
But all the same things happened to me that you, the bleeding and all that, horrific.
Really?
Stuff.
See, I didn't know if you vaginally still bleed.
I wasn't on fire because I didn't have to rip it wide open.
I did.
But my abdomen was jacked, so I couldn't walk. Mm-hmm. I had to have you have a a bag, you don't go to the bathroom.
Really?
Your legs are numb when you come out, and you have to wait a certain amount of hours. I didn't know
you had to wear a bag.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah, and that's why I had so many bladder problems after, I think. Some nasty ass doctors over there. They don't change their stuff. I don't like it. C-sections are the worst. It's major surgery, people. It's
major surgery. How? Because it's 6 weeks recovery for 8 weeks. And it's 8 weeks for C-section.
Yeah. And 8 weeks means nothing because when you go home and you actually had a C-section and other kids, no one cares.
Mm-hmm.
I went home and my husband's like, all right, what's for dinner?
You're like, well, my stomach just got cut open, but how about pizza, darling?
I think for me too, I think I was going into shock and getting an infection and I didn't say anything both times because I got a fever and really lightheaded I was like, I'm fine. I'm going to go home. Yeah, so it's never
infection. Good. My friend had a really bad infection too after her C-section.
Yeah,
and I think it was she was there for a week.
That's crazy. I like that. That's the best part.
Yeah, but it was crazy.
I call a hotel hospital.
Right?
Oh man, I get to be there for.
Well, their baby was there too because she was a preemie, and then she got out midway. But then she was still always at the hospital because her mom was there. So it was kind of weird because it was
Yeah,
Yeah, well, all of a sudden she was the patient and the baby wasn't.
Right.
So they're expecting stuff for the baby and they're like, no, the baby's out. And she's like, oh, that's right. It's me that's in the hospital.
Right.
It's not my baby.
So many different people have complications. So we talked about the Vogue magazine with Serena Williams.
Oh, yeah.
She had a blood clot after she gave birth. And so she was in bed for an extended period of time where other people had to care for the baby. It totally happens. And I don't think that realistically the books ever tell you any of that.
Yeah.
They don't tell you that your milk might come in, but you might get a clog.
Ooh, yeah.
You know, and then you get engorged, and then it's like ridiculous.
And it's painful.
And then I'll tell you that being on drugs for the first couple weeks after a C-section, it's pretty gnarly. Like,
oh, yeah. What kind of drugs do they give you when you're in a C-section?
You want to take the pills because you're in pain, but guess what? If you're breastfeeding, it goes right to the baby. So the both of you are zombies for like 2 weeks. So it's like, it's not worth it, you know?
Yeah, so you just like...
try to wean off of it right away.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so the baby can be normal.
Yeah.
Man, it's horrible.
Wow, God.
You know?
This just sounds horrible.
And then either you have a husband who is no help or a husband that just loves you way too darn much and he can't wait. And you're like, listen, it's 6 weeks. This thing got to heal up. You know what I mean?
Oh, my God, yeah.
It's horrible.
It is horrible. Do you have to, like, use ice packs down there? Because I remember, like, always... Okay, so...
No ice
packs. That was
packs.
more from, like, pushing.
But ice packs are great for C-sections, too, because your abdomens are all messed up. You know? It's horrible.
Horrible.
They don't tell us anything.
No. I bled for a really long time, too, because I had this issue, which we talked about before, where my placenta didn't, like... fully detached, and there was like little remnants left behind after the scraping.
Oh, that's horrible.
So it was like, you know, I was like, man, I should be done bleeding, and then finally they were like, oh, we think like placenta is still in there. So then I had to go get surgery to get it out.
Oh my God,
afterwards.
no.
But no, it was amazing. It was because it was like maybe 2 months into it, so I was like exhausted, and then I was like, oh my gosh, I get to go to the hospital by myself.
You're like, this
by myself
is great.
and lay in a bed and just have like somebody cater to me. I was like, this is heaven, actually. I was sleeping, watching things on like my phone.
Shucks. I don't know, like I also feel like the sleep deprivation really messes with you.
Oh, it makes you crazy, right?
Yeah, like my in-laws came and they always wanted to go shopping every day. And so like I'd be like, fine, I'll go out with the baby because the baby needs fresh air or whatever. But then like I'd end up being like, oh, my boobs
God.
The baby. And it was like horrible.
Yeah. Ooh, speaking of like having in-laws, what about having guests in your house right after you have a baby?
Horrifying.
The worst idea, right? But yet we always do it. Like I did it too.
I know.
And all my friends always do it, and you always regret having visitors right afterwards.
Right, I agree. And I even said the last time I was like, listen, we're not doing that. Wait, can you wait like a couple weeks?
My mom warned me. I invited her and she's like, I'm not coming right away. I'm going to come 3 weeks afterwards. So you get your like, you know, stuff together, you know, you guys figure out your routine and then I'll come.
Yeah, I think
which
that's
was really
cool.
nice and thoughtful. And I was like, at first I was like, I'll be fine. Then after I was like, oh, thank God.
You know, I think that too, like when your families come, they want to cook you all that family food and stuff. And like right after you give birth, like I know that, you know, everyone wants to feed you, but you really don't want to eat all those heavy things. And it's not good for your baby.
No.
Not good for you. I noticed like living here in Hawaii, like, you know, for those of our listeners that don't realize that we are broadcast out of Hawaii. So Hawaii is a different cultural place when it comes to like pregnancy and stuff. And the Filipinos really believe in wrapping your abdomen, like after you give birth, C-section or not. Like they wrap you tight and then you eat papaya soup. Papaya soup for like a few days, like a week or two, and it's a good like a cleanse for your system, they say, and it helps your body to get back.
Do they just eat the papaya soup, or is it like
papaya soup
with other things?
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't really know the logistics, but yeah, but then it makes a lot of sense because it kind of, you know, you're getting less bloated because you think you just had the baby and then you're eating all this stuff in your stomach. Oh, everything is
too much, right? It's just too much for your
body,
God.
Right? You know, and then don't be like, for those of moms that they give birth and then they're like, oh, but I thought I was going to have a girl and I had a boy. Now I need to return all this stuff. I'm like, you don't need to be trucking out with your 2-week-old baby to go return some baby.
No,
you
don't.
Oh my gosh.
Make it easy as possible.
Right?
What I did too when I was pregnant and like bored waiting those last few weeks, I made a bunch of like bulk like foods and then I froze it.
Oh, that's kind
of So then all I had to do was just like thaw it out when I was like super tired. 'Cause I didn't have family out here. So I was like, nobody's going to bring me food. Right. Like I got to prepare.
Man, I didn't even think of that.
It really helped when those days where I was just like, I'm so tired.
Right? Like this sucks.
Thank God I prepared.
You look at your baby like, it's so cute. But like in the back of your head, you're like oh my God, is it ever going to grow up?
Oh God, so tiring.
Oh, it is. And then it's like, and then you're overstimulated because you're like touching the baby all day. And then your man comes by, he's like, touch. And you're like, I can't handle it. It's no.
Yeah. Did your kids sleep in a crib right away?
No, I mean, I think, well, for my first, I was like 19, so I was like, oh, sleeping in a bassinet. Mm-hmm. I always had the bassinet, but eventually they always ended up kind of co-sleeping. I tried for the most part, though. When you're breastfeeding, like,
it's just so much easier.
They say, now, most people will say don't co-sleep because you can roll over on your baby or whatever, and, like, I understand that, and that could possibly be true, but for the most part, I don't think any mom sleeps so heavily that she...
That's what it is. You're almost like you never reach that deep sleep.
No, it's called awake sleep.
Yeah, and you're always kind of aware. You really are almost kind of this weird aware of where your baby is.
Isn't it
It's
weird?
like the mother intuition kicks in.
Yeah, it's like awake sleeping.
Yeah, exactly.
Your
never
eyes
fully
are
there.
closed, but you're like mentally listening.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
She could make like a noise, like, and I would be like,
you're like, oh,
right away.
I'm up.
Yep.
What's going on here? Mm-hmm. I also I'd never understood that there was never urgency from my husband when he heard baby noises. I heard that they did a study that said that men don't hear baby cry the way we do. Mm-hmm. I wonder if that's true.
It probably is true. I mean,
is that why they don't listen to us when we bitch at them?
Because it's like you think, like they grew. We're more in tuned with them. Like they were in us. Well, I mean, I guess the guy was too, but
yeah, but
but in different ways.
But still, like, I mean, I envy. Like, we know like one guy in particular that was a stay-at-home dad, and he killed it at stay-at-home dadding. I mean, he'd have dinner ready, the house was renovated, the baby was happy.
I know who you're talking about.
I loved it. I wasn't that fortunate. I mean, I left my husband with my baby a couple times. Like one time, he gave her chocolate. I about died. One time I came home, she had black nail polish on her. Like, well, I was like, where is she? First of all, and she's like down the hallway. I see black nail polish down the walls around, and there she is standing with black nail polish on her cheeks.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that was fun. So guys are not as good.
I just think they're just not in tune. Like, we're just like very like aware.
So basically the first few weeks, you get off the pills fast, you pump a bunch of stuff, freeze it so you can start drinking in like 2 weeks. Then you just give your baby your frozen pump milk, and then you're like, oh God, this sucks so bad.
Thank you.
Yeah. But the most part, you need to have a sense of humor about it because it is not going to last forever.
Exactly. It's temporary. That's what I kept telling myself in the hardest times. Like, this is just temporary.
Right. Yeah. It's temporary.
It's temporary.
But your kids will keep you awake for other stupid reasons the older they get.
Yeah.
When they start talking and they have like dumb excuses.
Oh my God. Or just the stories. Coco's really into telling me these long stories. Right? And I'm like, oh my God.
I've literally told my kid to speed it up.
Come on. Or they're like, and you're like, oh my God.
You're like, oh my God. My girl, I had this one friend, her little boy, he called her Ma'i. He come, Ma'i, I gotta tell you something. And we'd be like, hurry up. Oh my God.
Spit it out.
Yeah,
kid.
so, and then, when they'll go from like talking you awake every night, then they'll just keep you awake because you'll be stressed out because you won't know where they are, what they're doing. They'll get to that age.
When they start escaping and like, ooh, I'm just gonna run around at night.
Yeah.
Not sleeping. Sweet.
So I guess my most practical after birth advice would be to sleep every time your baby's sleeping. Screw your house.
That is such good advice.
I would save up a bunch of money in my pregnancy to hire a cleaning lady.
Come once a week.
So I would have her come 3 times a week. Mm-hmm. Because you need that 3 times a week.
In the first couple weeks you do.
I would make sure that I meal prep like you did, or I have a service coming to give me meals every day.
Which is great. Now they have that service where you can just hook it up for your friend, and then it's like a calendar, and everybody can be like, oh, I'm gonna give her lunch on Thursday, and then you can do dinner this day, and it's like a calendar with all of your friends.
That's
and it's
a great idea.
meal plan for the first few weeks.
That's a great idea.
Isn't that a great idea?
I also think you should invest in someone to come over and give you a blowout at least like once a week, so then you can feel like a human. Like you take a shower and like have someone just blow dry your hair.
Right?
So you look like, okay, I feel a little bit like myself today.
Yeah.
I heard
if you get a time to take a shower. Good Lord, if you.
One mom was saying online, like, I always take an hour for myself. Like, I always do. That's what I do. But like, not everybody has the liberty to do that.
Realistically, if you're a single mom and you have no help, you don't have that hour.
No. And like, I put my kid in the bouncy chair and I just move her to whatever room I was at and whatever I had to do, because you got to get up and do something at some point. But the first few weeks, don't do anything. No. Prepare. Like, I literally tell people, like, you should just save up a bunch of money now and just invest in like $5,000 worth of diapers, like 2 years before you even decide to have a baby. That way, all your diapers for that baby's first 2 years taken care of.
Oh, that's a good idea.
How do you like that?
That is a good idea.
You know what I mean?
Save your pennies, ladies.
Yeah, because wouldn't it be great if you had a stockpile and then you never had to worry about that expense?
Oh my gosh, that's such a huge expense.
Yeah, it's everything.
So for you planners out there that know that you're going to have a baby, start saving now, because this shit's expensive.
And for you moms that just had a baby, you'll be awake for late night, so you just start writing a list of all these things you have to do. Oh, God, it's going to be 18 years of lists, whatever. Oh, my God, it's so horrible. God, you know, I mean, there's, of course, those first few weeks, there's joyful parts, because you take like a trillion selfies of your baby. Yeah. You're like, oh,
falling in love with them,
I had a couple, like, I hate to say this, but when I first had my first kid, I didn't think she was that cute one. And like, I was like, oh, well, it was really young too. And then I was trying to take pictures of her, like, for the announcement. And I was like, I hate this. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. This is really tough.
That's so funny that you said that. Coco's like face was like smashed. And I remember Alex being like, is her nose gonna be like that forever? And be like, no.
You're like, yes. Yeah, it is actually. No.
Yeah, that's how it is. It's just off to the side.
You know, it's your genes. Your genes.
Right. It's just like you. What are you talking about?
Those first few weeks after birth can be quite challenging, but at the same time, you get through it.
Exactly. You know? It's temporary.
And then don't put pressure on yourself to get those announcements out and all that. I know a lot of people, they're like, look, we want to see pictures of your baby, and people are going to be hounding you. You need to tell these people to back up. Right? My sister literally put I swear to freaking God, she had a notice that says, if you've not had your immunizations, you are not allowed to enter. Like, you had to have your immunizations. Like, you had to be fully suited to you know, it was like days of the week that she would allow visitors. And, you know, it's okay to be like that.
It's okay. If it's going to give you peace of mind, because that's just the thing. Right. Everything will drive you crazy right after.
Right.
Like, oh, my God, a germ. Oh, my God, this. Oh, that. If you gotta be overzealous about stuff, go right ahead.
Right, but then too, if you really need the extra help, don't feel bad taking it.
Oh no!
If your mother-in-law wants to come over and hold your baby for 7 hours while you take a shower and a nap, you should go for it. I mean, I know my sister at one point, she didn't want anyone to feed her baby because she wanted her baby to bond with her. But I thought, you know what? You know how many hundreds of feedings you're going to be giving, like thousands a day,
and she can bond. Your baby can bond with other people too. Yes. You and your baby, you have a very special bond.
But it's also important that you let other people hold your baby too, so they don't freak out every time someone else wants to hold them.
And that you can get a break, Mom. Yeah. Like, why wouldn't you want a break from feeding?
No, moms always want a break. You know what I always think is interesting? Moms complaining that they don't have the nursery luxury at the hospital when they give birth. Like, you know how in the old days the baby would go to the nursery and then you would get it. Now they keep the baby with you, and some moms are like, but that's not fair. I'm tired. I'm like, no, you've been waiting 9 freaking months for this.
Exactly.
Yeah, you just started the marathon. You can't take a break. Right after you start.
Right, you're just taking the first couple steps.
Yeah, you know. I mean, there's a way to do it to not stress yourself out. I laughed at you with your essential oils. There's no essential oil that made you feel better, was there, Sarah?
No, there wasn't. I was sniffing the living hell out of that lavender, but I was also clawing the walls from pain.
Right? We love lavender. We definitely love lavender.
But, I mean, it's nice, but it's not going to hinder those pains.
Right, exactly, huh?
Doesn't help, but it smells nice.
I know, huh? Yeah, it smells nice. But we do love our young living around here.
We sure do.
We'll definitely get into that on
the yeah, we do love essential oils, and we do have a very great essential oil lady.
Yeah, and we're not weird about it, because I know, like, some hippies are super, like, ridiculous about their oils, but, you know, to be honest with you, you will save some money. Let me tell you, girl. Let me tell you. But I'll tell you one thing. Those essential oils ain't going to do nothing for those first few weeks after giving birth to your baby.